Welcome to Victoria University's Graduate Online Information Series. My name is Colin Drake. I'm a Senior Lecturer in the VU Business School, and tonight with me I have Dr. Scott Bingley. Scott is an experienced researcher in the field of information systems and also Director of SAP Next Generation Lab. And beyond all of those titles, he's also the Postgraduate Course Chair in the Masters of Enterprise Resource Planning and Business Analytics. So perhaps without any further ado, I'll throw over to you, Scott. Tell us a little bit about what brought you to Victoria University and your interest in this field.
Yep. What brought me here was I did my undergraduate here, I did my PhD here, and my first real academic job was at Victoria University. And I love the environment, I love being here, and that's why I've been here since probably 20 years. I started my undergrad here at the university. So I've just stayed here because I love working here, other than the odd year or two in industry working in there.
I see. And tell us a little bit about the role of ERP and business analytics in the contemporary business environment.
Yep. I guess we'll have to explain what ERP is. So it's a bit of a term people hear, but it's basically a computer system. So it's a type of computer system. We have CRM systems people hear about, customer relationships, supply chain, accounting systems, HR systems, manufacturing systems. ERP is just one big system that encompasses all of those. So the advantage of this one is that you have one database connected to it. So instead of having all these little modular systems that have their own database that may not talk to each other, it's hard to get data to each other and reference across departments. Everything's stored in one place. So therefore you can run big reports that go across departments. You can see inventory in real time and sales in real time. And we have a bit of a butterfly effect where sales will make a big sale, all of a sudden manufacturing see it in real time, accounting see it in real time. So therefore we can set up real time and get real time insight into organisations. Generally large organisations have these big systems and therefore they can run better, they can run more agile, and with the current climate of COVID-19, knowing what your customers want, knowing how much stock you have on, knowing what actually works, running analytics, all coming out of the one spot makes it very attractive. So what brought me to this field is I love working with computers, but I'm not super technical as well. That's why I'm in the business area. So I can speak both languages, computers and the business one. So I guess at the very essence of an information systems person, it's all about getting the right information to the right person at the right time. So using ERP is amazing because you don't have a lag in data. You don't have to wait for the systems to update overnight. So therefore you have the ability to make these decisions based on data.
And I understand that SAP is one of those big proprietary companies in ERP, and you've been heavily involved in setting up the Next Gen Lab. Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yep, so SAP is just a software company that make ERP. So they make lots of other software, but one of their big flagship ones is this ERP solution they produce. We have an ongoing partnership with SAP. We've been using them as our practical component for our degrees since 1997. So they're one of the big software companies in the world. They have 440,000 customers across 180 countries. So therefore, they're everywhere. 98% of the world's most trusted brands sort of use SAP or some of their systems. So therefore the opportunity is there for our graduates to work anywhere. We have Australia's only SAP Next Gen Lab, and we're very lucky to have that. We've been upgraded to a chapter as well, so there's only 3 chapters that run Next Gen Labs in the world. And we use this to do some research out of, which we're continuing to do, but also we use it for our capstone project for our master's students. So in there, they'll work on a real world industry project rather than say a research report, which is quite common for masters. So we've had many clients from OI Glass, who are the world's biggest bottle manufacturer, to electricity companies, infrastructure companies, to car leasing companies, all giving us real world problems. And our students are there to find a creative solution for these organisations. One so with the electricity company, they wanted us to analyse their data and find a way of predicting what would break in their electrical nodes out in the field before it broke and fix it. It's a predictive maintenance algorithm sort of thing. But they didn't want to spend lots of money because they've got to tighten the budget a bit. So they gave us 30 years worth of data to go through. The data wasn't great, but I told the students that's industry, that's what it is. So we developed a balanced scorecard which had some regression analysis based on that and introduced some other factors as well which affected this stuff. So those are the sort of projects our students work on as their capstone project.
Do you think that that's something that the students value in terms of putting on a CV or talking to potential employers about the fact that they're using real-world data and coming up with solutions?
Yep, I'm actually marking their reflective pieces this week. So I'm reading all about how it's developing their soft skills, they're developing their more creative side for business, they're improving their communication skills, but also they're developing something from the ground up. They've got to develop a business plan, they've got to be able to put a project proposal together. They've got to take all their great ideas they've got and actually make it happen and implement it. That's the difficult part. You can have as many ideas as you want, but having the skills and the ability to implement it is difficult. So our students are doing this from the ground up. And it's sort of consulting, but you're still in the sort of cozy embrace of a university as well.
So the best of both worlds, really.
Exactly, yeah. So that they're still guided by experts, but they've still work with some of our industry partners, find out all the problems they deal with, and they're a bit pampered with nicely tailored academic problems during the university. So it's good for them to get this insight.
So we've talked a little bit about some of the employability skills that come from your course. Perhaps have you got success stories of people that you've taught over the last few years in this course, and what sort of roles are they likely to find out there in industry?
Yep, so I love keeping in contact with the students, so my LinkedIn account is full of our students. I encourage them to link up and connect with me so I can just see where they go. So we've got lots of students who have gone through the SAP pre-sales and induction phases. We've got a number of students at the Big Four, Accenture, but we've also, because SAP is used in a lot of organisations, they can go work at those companies as well. So Australia Post have it, Coles have it, Bureau of Meteorology have it. So we've got one student who just started or just finished her capstone project with the NextGen Lab, and that's all they spoke about for the interview. So she's very happily employed there at Bureau of Meteorology. So I catch up every now at the SAP User Group Conference as well. So it's good to see the students go on.
Now you mentioned SAP is a critical element of this particular master's course. Do you have other industry partnerships, and perhaps if you can talk about the internship that I know you're heavily involved in?
Yep, so we have SAP is our major focus. So we try to use as much SAP in there as well. We have the latest and greatest applications for our students to work on, and that really sets them apart because they're not competing against people who have spent 15 years working on the old applications. They're actually in front of them when they sort of graduate. There's an interesting date coming up, 2027, and this is when SAP will stop supporting the old version of SAP. So our graduates, it's going to be an interesting time coming up. It was 2025, now it's 27. So it's going to be an interesting time when our graduates start graduating, get a year or two experience, they should kick on. But our program does offer an internship. So we work with a lot of organisations in the northwest of Melbourne, and a lot of this is around financial modelling, particularly with the NDIS, to see if the numbers stack up for these organisations. Electricity companies again, saying from buying electricity very volatile rates, trying to even it out and putting those models together, and a lot of healthcare providers, which have been super busy recently as well.
Can imagine. One thing that we spend a lot of time on is talking about ERP. We haven't spent so much time talking about business analytics. Yep. Explain to me principally the difference between the two and the Masters in Business Analytics. What do you do differently than ERP? Yep,
so ERP, the graduates work for a company that has an ERP system in there. Whereas a business analytics can be more generalist, I guess you would put it up there. So even though they've got skills that use SAP, they also can fit into an organisation where they speak IT, IS, and also business as well. So they can start finding solutions to problems, or they can start finding maybe problems in the system that other people can't see. So I guess that's the major difference in it. But we also have our graduate certificate in ERP and business analytics. And I think that's a really good one right now. It's 4 units. And if people are looking to update their skills, particularly using the older versions of SAP, 4 units they can use the new versions and upskill themselves during any breaks they have.
And I imagine that with a 4 unit, that's a bit of an entree into the masters. They can convert those 4 units into a master's program at any stage in the future.
Yes, correct. And we've also got a graduate diploma, which is 8 units as well. So you can convert those into the masters, and we've got a 12-unit masters and a 16-unit masters as well.
Right. And tell me, what are the career opportunities like for your graduates at this moment in time?
Yep, very good. We've got having an ERP or a successful business analytics sort of area at an organisation. It's really shown how good processes are, particularly with COVID. If they're a very well-run organisation, they can look at their data, see how they can maybe pivot during these times, and therefore change what they do. With our graduates, they'll be able to fit in that quite successfully because those businesses are getting bigger. Supply chain companies are getting bigger. Supermarkets are getting bigger. Coles run SAP. And because of that, put the 2027 dates on top of that, and all of a sudden, it's a very exciting time to be in this sort of space.
And tell me, do you have full-time and part-time students, or are they predominantly one or the other?
Well, we get a mixture of both. I would say that predominantly would be sort of full-time students, but we do cater to part-time where we try and alternate lectures and tutorials to be one semester at night, next semester during the day, and with a lot of options.
Okay, and just going into that in detail, do you find that there's a gender balance in your classrooms? Are you having more males attracted than females, or do you have a mix of both in your classes?
I would say it's probably 60-40 females without any problem. With the Next Gen Lab, which is there'll be easily 60% women doing that, and it's great to see. We have an SAP career mentor as well as part of the Next Gen Lab, and he'll come in, he'll give some one-on-one mentoring. He'll give a few presentations about what they need to do to succeed, what a consultant does during the day, what a typical week would look like, and sort of the opportunities they have. We've also, at the start of the year, launched an FQ lounge. So this is a female quotient lounge. So this is to empower female prospective or future female business leaders to learn from female mentors, tap into the vast network of the FQ Lounge. So we've got one of those in Melbourne. It's had to take a little bit of a back step with COVID at the moment, but that'll be up and running properly again when we resume.
That's really quite an exciting initiative, and one that's quite welcomed. IT generally hasn't had a fantastic scorecard in terms of gender equality or moving women into the C-suite. So that's probably a really good step in the right direction.
Yeah, so we try to make sure all our students, female or male, that they get sort of involved with industry. So we make sure we have guest lecturers come in. We make sure we have an SAP career mentor talk about what it is. We do industry projects. So therefore, they actually are well equipped to just walk into a job and hit the ground running.
That's fantastic. Scott, we're going to have to wind up there, but we might have a few questions from our audience. So just before I let you go, I'll just check to see whether we've got any particular quick questions. Just bear with me for a moment. What's the difference in terms of time commitment from the graduate certificate to a master's program?
Well, if you do the graduate certificate full-time, it's 4 units for 1 semester. If you do the master's full-time, you just still do 4 units 1 semester, but you just do that either for 3 semesters or 4 semesters.
Okay, so depending on part-time or full-time depends on how quick you can get through the course, but technically if someone, for example, through COVID was retrenched out of their job, they could literally pick up a grad cert in the space of 6 months.
Yes, correct. And we run some of these units over summer as well.
Okay, that's good to know. And lastly, is there anything further that we need to know about the Masters of Business ERP or Business Analytics that we haven't touched on so far, do you think?
Don't think so. Our goal is, our Dean's goal, and I think most of that's come to fruition, is that he wants to be the most, we want to be the most industry connected business school in Australia. So therefore, we make sure we have connection to industry. Our industry is SAP, particularly in the ERP space. So therefore, we do have guest lecturers come in. We do have entry points into organisations through internships. We are fairly active with the SAP user group in Australia. I've presented at their conference for the last couple of years, and also with the Next Gen Lab as well. So we're really trying to make sure our students are well equipped with those technical and soft skills.
Excellent. Well, thank you, Scott, once again, and thank you for being part of the Graduate Online Information Series. If you want to talk to Scott one-on-one, either via email or Skype or Zoom, we have appointments that you can register for after the end of this presentation. So thank you once again, and we look forward to seeing you at VU soon.